Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and technically doing a Labrynth deck profile. So I'm really excited to for you guys because this deck is an amazing control deck that just got some absolutely incredible support out of Darkwing Blast, giving us a new boss monster, Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle, which is an amazing card. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing two copies of Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle, which is an absolutely amazing card. This card helps out the deck a lot, and it has some incredible effects that while you control a set card, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, and it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And you can only use each of the following effects this card once per turn, that if a Labrynth card or effect or a normal trap card was activated this turn, except another copy of this card, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. And when a normal trap card is activated, quick effect, you can set a normal trap card with a different name directly from your deck, which is an absolutely crazy powerful effect to get to any normal trap card that you need, which is a bunch of different cards that we're playing in this deck. I then play two copies of Lovely Labrynth. This card is a great 2 of in the deck. I feel like 2 is the perfect number of this card. It's a really awesome card to summon out to your side of the field, and it has some really good effects that your opponent cannot activate monster effects in response to the activation of your normal trap cards, and you can only use each of the following effects this card once per turn, that you can target a normal trap card in your graveyard and set it back to your field, but it cannot be activated unless you control a fiend monster, which you will because you have this card on the field. And if another monsters leaves the field because of a normal trap effect except during the damage step, then you can destroy one card in your opponent's hand at random or one card on their field, which is a great effect, turning basically any trap card that makes a monster leave to the field to a pop 1, which is really good. We then play a single copy of Labrynth Archfiend. I feel like this is just a really good 1-of in the deck. I started playing this card and it's helped out a lot as a 1-of when it's just a really good card. We then play 3 copies of Ariana. Ariana is a really good 3-of in the deck and just a fantastic normal summon that if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a Labrynth card from your deck to your hand, essentially being the Stratos of the deck. And if another monster leaves the field by a normal trap effect except during the damage step, you can draw a card, then you can apply the effect that from your hand either special summon a fiend monster or set a spell or trap card, which is a pretty good effect. We then play a single copy of Ariana. Ariana is a really good 1-of. You only really need a single copy of her in this particular build. I don't feel like you need any more than 1 copy of this card because it's super searchable in this deck. And she has a really good effect, but you only really need a single copy. She has the ability that you can send a normal trap card from your hand or that's set to your side of the field to the graveyard to special summon a level 4 or lower fiend monster from your deck in defense position, except another copy of this card. And if another monster leaves the field by a normal trap effect except during the damage step, you can draw a card, then apply the effect that from your hand either special summon a fiend monster or set a spell or trap card, which is a pretty good effect. We then play 2 copies of Chandelier. I feel like 2 is totally fine with this card. I don't feel like you need any more than 2 copies of Chandelier. We then play 2 copies of Stovey Torby. Stovey Torby is also a great 2-of in the deck. Again, I don't feel like you need any more than 2 copies of Stovey Torby in this deck. And I feel like playing 2 and 2 is the best number for this card, especially now that we have Lady Labrynth in this deck. I then play 3 copies of Absolute King Backjack. Backjack is really good in this deck, and a definite 3-of because it has the ability during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard and excavate the top card of your deck, and if it's a normal trap card, set it to your field, otherwise send it to the graveyard, and that set card can be activated during this turn. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck and then place them back on top of your deck in any order, which is a great effect so that you know what you're going to excavate, which is really nice. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're just playing a few spells, which is going to be 2 copies of Labrynth. Labrynth. This is a really awesome field spell for the deck, and just a really good card overall, that if you activate a set Welcome Labrynth normal trap card, then you can add this additional effect to that card effect. After it resolves, that also after that, destroy 1 card on the field, and if you activate a non-Labrynth normal trap card, except during the damage step, you can special summon a Fiend monster from your hand or graveyard. I have actually been considering bumping this card up to 3, but for right now, I feel like 2 copies is totally fine in this deck. I then play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity in this deck. This card is just really good just to help you dig into the deck to get to the exact card that you need. We don't really summon out of the extra deck all that much, so this card is a really, really good 3-of to have in the deck to be able to banish 6 and be able to excavate 6 and add one of those cards to your hand. And we're not OTKing in this deck, so the half damage is totally fine. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we are playing a lot of traps in this deck, and we're going to start off with 3 copies of Welcome Labrynth, which is a crazy powerful card and a definite 3-of in the deck that lets you special summon a Labrynth monster from your deck. Also, until the end of the next turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck or the deck except Fiend monsters, which is not that big of a deal because that's pretty much all we're summoning anyways. And if a monster leaves the field by your normal trap effect while this card's in the graveyard, except during the turn it was sent there, you can set this card back to your field, which is an awesome effect to have on this card. We then play 2 copies of Ice Dragon Prison. This card is just a fantastic trap card. It lets you target a monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it to your side of the field, but its effects are negated. Then you can manage a monster from both players' fields that have the same type as each other, which is a pretty good effect on this card. But the nice thing is you don't have to banish. You can just put that monster on your side of the field, which is really good. We then play 2 copies of Eradicator. Eradicator is my tech of this deck. I love this card in the deck because it works so well with Lady Labrynth, because this card has the ability to tribute a dark monster with 2,500 more attack, and then you choose spells or traps. And then you check either spells or traps, whichever one you call, from your opponent's hand, their side of the field, and every card they draw for 3 turns after this effect resolves, and you destroy all of the chosen type, which is absolutely insanely powerful, which is why I'm playing this card as a 2-of in the deck. It's super searchable, which is why I play just 2 copies of this card, but it's absolutely incredible to be able to shut down Runic and all sorts of really powerful decks. We then play 3 copies of Compulse. Compulse is just really good to bounce a monster off the field, and it does bounce a monster off the field, which makes a monster leave the field by a normal trap effect, which is why this card is so good. It's just a really awesome generic trap card that you can play in the deck, and it's really good in this build. We're then playing 3 copies of Archfiend's Ghastly Glitch. This card is a great 3-of in the deck because if you control a Fiend monster, you can target 1 card on the field and destroy it, then you can send a Fiend monster from your deck to the graveyard, which is an awesome effect to be able to use with this card. We then play 3 copies of Karma Cannon. Karma Cannon is insanely powerful. It's one of the most powerful trap cards we've ever gotten in Yu-Gi-Oh! And it has the ability to change as many monsters on the field as possible to face down defense position. Then, if either player controls a face-up monsters, they must send them to the graveyard so they don't control any face-up monsters, which is super powerful because this card basically stops all link monsters and says both players have to send every link monster to the graveyard, which is absolutely insane, and every monster is flipped face down, which is super powerful on this card, and it's just super good in this deck. We then play 3 copies of Dogmatica Punishment. Dogmatica Punishment is really good because we don't summon from the extra deck too much in this deck. So this card is really good because you can target a face-up monster that your opponent controls, send a monster with the same attack or higher from your extra deck to the graveyard, and if you do, destroy that targeted monster. But this card does lock you out of the extra deck for this turn and the following turn, which is a little bit of a downside, but again, we don't summon from the extra deck all that much because we have such powerful boss monsters in the main deck. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of Bagooska. Bagooska is really good because it is a Fiend monster, so we can summon it in this deck super easily around some of the restrictions. But this card is just really good because it does stop the opponent in their tracks and lets us slow down the game just a little bit so we can set some trap cards. We then play a single copy of Tornado Dragon just to pop spells and traps that our opponent might play against us. 1 copy of Abyss Dweller just to be able to lock down graveyards, which is really nice in this deck. 1 copy of Evil Sworn Exciton Knight, also a Fiend monster and can help you board wipe the field, which is really nice in this deck. One copy of Evil Swarm Nightmare, which is also a fiend monster, but it does take 2 dark monsters to make this card, but it's a walking Book of Moon, which can be extremely helpful in this deck. We then play a single copy of DDD Wave King Caesar. You're just making this card so you can make your copy of King Tell, which is a really awesome card to be able to make in this deck because it's just really good to help you step into a copy of Zeus or step into your copy of Divisor King Deus Machina X, Machina X, which is just really good to be able to make in this deck. This card is super good because it is a 3000 attack point monster, and basically you just go into your Wave King Caesar, and then you go into King Tell, and then you go into your copy of your Divisor King, which is super good to help you step into a copy of Zeus, which is really nice to be able to make a copy of Zeus with all of these materials, plus the 2 initial materials that you use for this card. Sometimes you can just banish your copy of your Divisor King for your copy of Prosperity and make it like this for a 4 material Zeus, which is an option for you guys if you want to go that route. We then play a single copy of Wind Pegasus for Dogmatic Punishment, which is super good to be able to use because this card has the ability, when this card's in the graveyard, you can banish the card, target a card that your opponent controls, and shuffle it back into the deck, which is super powerful. One copy of Garuga, which is also a Dogmatic Punishment target, and if this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to draw a card, turning Dogmatic Punishment into a pop 1 and a draw card. One copy of Skull Knight, because if we don't want to immediately pop a card on the field, you can send this card instead off of Punishment to be able to banish it later, which is pretty good. We play 2 copies of Elder Entity Nis, which just works really good with our copy of Dogmatic Punishment to give us additional pops in this deck. And then finally, a single copy of Linkuriboh, which works with our copy of our Backjack, which is really good to get it off our side of the field and make this card. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Labrynth before, I highly recommend it because it is super fun. It's a deck that I'm going to be playing a lot since we finally got a Lady Labrynth, because that card just takes this deck to a whole new level and it makes it super fun. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.